Did I watch the Elimination Chamber? Yes. Was there a match that literally broke Twitter? Yes. Was there an ending that pissed a lot of people off? Yes. Do I want to talk about it? Yes. And we will do that now. Okay, guys, on the real, I really didn't think Elimination Chamber was going to be a great pay-per-view. I had my thoughts, I had my ideas, my notions, and I didn't feel like it was going to be great. I thought it was going to be another lame pay-per-view, and it was just going to suck. But I'm going to be honest with you. This pay-per-view, whoa, pretty much blew me away. It shows that there is some change happening, people. The future is definitely now, and NXT is it. Seriously. Now, before I get to that match, that pretty much the match that almost stacks up the epic awesomeness. I'm going to actually talk about the kickoff first. Now, the kickoff, yeah, was pointless because we all knew that Zack Ryder is pretty much next to nothing. Like, he doesn't really have much of a name. So, as much as I love Zack Ryder, and as famous as he was for his internet championship, you don't even see him have that belt anymore. His show got revoked. It's just to the point where Zack Ryder really doesn't have anything to go on. And I thought he turned heel, but I guess they changed I guess they, changed their mind and they wanted him to be a face. But the messed up part is if you lose to Stardust, yeah, you might as well think of someplace else to go. Because, well, Stardust, yeah, I love Cody Rhodes, and they're two good guys, but you would think that they would put on a good match. The match was okay, but it was short, of course, and poor Zack Ryder really didn't have a shot in the dark of winning. It was a given that it was going to go to Cody Rhodes. Okay, my bad. Stardust. And I love Stardust's gimmick. I love Cody Rhodes' new gimmick with Stardust, and it would have broke my heart if he would have traded in to be back Cody, because it wouldn't go anywhere for him. But the sad part is it really did bring Zack Ryder a lot lower than he was. Because before Zack Ryder, his merch was outselling a lot of people on the mid-card, and he wasn't even doing anything. But now I really don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen and where he's going to go in the future. The dude changed his hair. He changed pretty much almost his entire gimmick just for him to get noticed. So that's the sad part. The sad part of this entire thing. But anyway, let's move on from there. There was a little segment that they had with Miz TV, of course, with Daniel Bryan talking to The Miz. The Miz is one of the best heels. One of the best. He is an awesome heel. He definitely gets a lot of heel heat. He knows how to play with the crowd. And the fact is, he really knew how to work things when it came to Daniel Bryan. Now, I love Daniel Bryan. I will always love Daniel Bryan. It's a given that Daniel Bryan is not going to be back for a while. He says that his career is not over and he is coming back, but it's going to be a long time since we see him again. Plus, we have no idea if, there is huge rumors that he might retire. It's all over the place. We all know. And the same thing with the Bella Twins, as well as rumors about John Cena. So, I don't know. But all I can say is this. He actually just confirmed that he is coming back and everybody was happy and all that. But I will say this. Miz is great when it comes to getting the heel heat. But I can't say the same thing for Sandow. And I'm not going to say Macho Man Dow. I'm tired of all the Dows and all this other stuff. He's Damien freaking Sandow. And that gimmick that he has with the Mega Powers with Curtis Axel, him trying to be Hulk Hogan, does not work. They look like idiots. And I wish they stop. That's just me. It's not doing anything for him. It's not really getting the crowd over. And speaking of the crowd, there were a lot of people that was pissed off on Twitter because of how the Corpus Christi crowd was reacting to all the matches. There was possibly maybe 2 matches that the crowd was really hyped up about, that got hyped up. But you can't really go by crowds. Everybody's different. Some people are like meh. Some people are like, arr! And we know what towns actually gets the biggest reaction. And it's usually the wrestling towns. The ones that we know of course, is Philadelphia and Chicago. But wherever you go, the reactions are going to be different. So honestly, in my humble opinion, the crowds don't matter. It's all about the show and all about what they give you and how they entertain you. So whether or not the crowds are getting the most reaction, who cares? As long as the show is great, forget how they react. They probably don't get that much, and it's probably not a huge wrestling town. So, hey. But besides the crowd, I'm going to say this. The commentary was ridiculously stupid. It's to the point where I really wish they considered getting rid of King, getting rid of JBL, and definitely getting rid of Michael Cole. Seriously, those guys don't work. They're tired. They don't want to be there. JBL already has his own show on CNN pretty much talking about political stuff, and he really has enough money to where he don't have to come back. King has had several heart attacks, several death scares. The guy is probably ready to go. You can tell. They're phoning it in every single night. Michael Cole tries. He tries, but he gets it wrong. Cole gets it wrong. Lawler gets it wrong. JBL definitely gets it wrong. It's just, can we get a new team? I'll be fine with Corey Graves. Because Corey Graves is great, but he's at the round table, so that's not going to happen. And I guess I wouldn't mind Booker T, but like I said, they're all at the round table. All the good people that I would consider is at the round table. But honestly, we need to get, why not get the SmackDown folks up in there? Just by all means, do not have them out there anymore. That's just me. They're a waste of time, let alone a waste of voice. But the messed up part is, the crowd was so quiet that you literally heard the cues. And what I mean by cues is that you know how everything is choreographed. Yes, wrestling, people say wrestling is fake. Wrestling is choreographed. We know it's choreographed. We know that everybody has to choreograph their moves in order to be in sync for the match to be good. But when you hear the cues and see the cues, that shows how completely dead the crowd is. So when you know that there's a reaction with the crowd, don't say anything. And I'm actually talking to one of the primetime players. You know what I'm talking about. And it's not the one you're thinking of. You know what I'm talking about. Seriously. For the tag team, and I guess let's go into the first match of the night. The tag team elimination chamber match. All I can say is this. That tag team match was pretty entertaining. I will say that that the Lucha Dragons, I think it was Kalisto, that kind of fell short. I thought he was going to pull a Lucha Underground move by doing a backflip on top of the people, by climbing on top of the ring and doing something spectacular. But I think he freaked himself out, realizing how high he was, and just dropped. It was kind of something that could have been spectacular, but hey, he was 20 feet up. I'll let that slide for once. I understand that can be scary, especially if you look down and know that you're surrounded in steel, and if nobody's underneath you, you can kill yourself. So I can kind of understand why it was such a bland drop, but that's fine. I will say this. I was really surprised to see the primetime players and the New Day going against one another. And not to try to like separate the whole race thing, but that's the first time I've seen two black groups go together. Like literally fighting it out. And I know maybe I shouldn't say this because majority of the people that listen to me may not be, well, I'm not going to get into that. But I will say this. I never expected the primetime players and the New Day to go at it. I didn't. I never expected that. I really wanted the primetime players to win. But of course, we get the New Day. But the one thing that kind of made me sad was the fact that Xavier Woods found a way out and stayed out. Nobody bothered to put him back in and lock him in there. Because the one thing that I'm hoping will happen, and I'm going to go into this a little bit later, is that somehow that Xavier Woods will be the odd man out because he's the only one with no title. He's the only one with no title. He's the only one with no anything. He has no worth to the team, and I'm hoping that will actually show so they can split him up. But that's a little wish on my little wish list. But anyway, I'm moving on from there. It kind of pissed me off the way it happened. The fact they had to do a pile up. And honestly, the Freebird rule, I hate the Freebird rule. It's been abused way too long. Don't get me wrong. It can be entertaining at times, but now it's getting irritating. Not entertaining, irritating. But it's time for it to end. And I really do want those three guys to split up and somehow just keep the tag team, and then Xavier Woods can go by himself. I'm waiting for that to happen because he's really annoying. But moving on from there, the primetime players really needed the title more than the New Day. They did. I mean, they came out of nothing. Seriously. Now, you got Titus O'Neil pretty much on his own for a while. And I mean, I don't know what to say about his partner, and his name kind of slipped my mind for a second. But I will say this: the fact that you were literally loud enough to give yourself, to give the guy that you were wrestling, to give Tyson Kidd a cue to get up and I don't know. The fact that you can actually hear wrestling cues really shows how quiet the crowd was. So when you can hear a pin drop in the crowd, that means you got to react differently. You can't really shout anything out. That was not professional. You've done this for a while. You should know better. But, and then I'm not talking about Tyus, I'm talking about the other dude. But anyway, moving on from there. Let's talk about the next match of the night. Now, we had 2 Elimination Chamber matches. One Elimination Chamber match, of course, was a tag team match, and it was great. It actually was pretty good. I got no beef with that. There were some flub ups, but hey, all I can say is you're human. You're going to make mistakes. But the worst Elimination Chamber match that I've ever seen in my life definitely was the IC title match. I never expected it to be this bad, but it was bad. It was boring. It was slow. And you got the wrong guy to take the place of Rusev. I'm sorry, you did. I like Mark Henry, but Mark Henry's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, if you know what I mean. Mark Henry is a strong dude, by far. He is. He's intimidating. He gets in your face. He screams. That's great for a heel. But he's just not that smart when it comes to strategy. I'm sorry. When it comes to somebody being pinned, knowing that it's an Elimination Chamber match, which means that it's no DQ, which means that you're going to have to eliminate the individual to leave, you don't pull that person being pinned off if there's 4 other people in the ring. Mark Henry really doesn't use his brain at times. He uses his brawn. He doesn't use his brain that often. And you can tell in this match, he was not thinking. He was probably too crunk about being out there, even though we knew that the dude ain't gonna win. So the fact that they chose him in the first place, I guess you gotta have one big guy in the Elimination Chamber. Maybe that's the all-time rule. I don't know. But the fact that they chose him was just dumb. Seriously, it was. And before I get into any further matches, I'm going to talk about one thing that a lot of people will not admit, but I'm going to admit it now. There is such thing as the King Curse. Now, what I mean by that is whoever from Booker T on down, everyone who was King of the Ring after Booker T suffered from the King Curse. What I mean is that as soon as you're King of the Ring, just like how those that win Oscars don't really get a lot of work for the next few years, the same thing with those that get King of the Ring. If you become the King of the Ring, you're not going to get any respect, let alone any titles for a long time. Probably until you retire. Booker T was gone after his feud with Stone Cold. There you go right there. And then from anyone that was King of the Ring was considered a joke. And King Barrett is considered a joke. The fact that he was pinned by R-Truth alone shows that he's a true joke. I'm sorry. I like R-Truth, but R-Truth is not big enough to put anybody over. He tries, but he ain't that big. Let's be real. He's not a draw to put anybody over. And the fact that he pinned King Barrett is insulting. And it shows that King Barrett means nothing. Zero. Nada. His name is nil. So honestly, they really do need to get rid of the King of the Ring, because the King of the Ring is doing nothing but insulting those people that work their hardest to get to where they are. And all of a sudden, when they become King of the Ring, they're a huge joke. Seriously, that's what happens. So unfortunately, King Barrett is suffering from the King Curse, and he ain't gonna come out of it until, I don't know, until somehow somebody else is crowned the next King of the Ring. Then maybe he'll get some kind of a push. But moving on from there, I will say this. A lot of people talked about how Naomi did not win the Divas title and she should have won. It should have been Nikki and it was a waste and all this other stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm fine with Nikki Bella keeping the belt. I am absolutely 100% groovy with having her keep the belt. And I'm going to say this. Naomi needs a bigger payout. It would have been a bigger payout for her if she actually did get it at SummerSlam. And yeah, I know that's a long way away. That's in August. But either or, I'm going to say, well, not really a long way away. It's like about, 2 months? But regardless, I will say that she'll get a bigger payout and a bigger, she'll probably get a bigger push and a bigger payout if she waits until a big 4 pay-per-view comes along. SummerSlam would be the best time for her to actually get the belt. I'm straight with her not being able to get the belt this time, because I don't know what's going to happen with Nikki, especially if Brie retires, and it's a rumor that she is, because she wants to have kids with Daniel, and I can understand that. But right now, let Nikki be champ. And I know people are like saying, oh, she's not doing anything for the belt. She might not be. She not as drastic as you would think she would be. But your greatest triumph is with your greatest heel. If she actually takes the belt, the next person going to take it from her is Paige. So Paige is probably going to be the future chick that actually take over for Nikki if Nikki actually leaves. But either or, all I can say is Nikki has huge improvements. She's made great strides to improve the way she actually performs in the ring, and she has. The fact that she's champ is not doing any good for the belt, but not doing any bad for it either. It's just at neutral. So it's not that bad. That's just me personal. That's my own thought. But let's move on to the next match. Now, I'm going to talk about the match that literally broke Twitter. It broke Twitter. It broke the internet. Every single fan in the world, including in the internet, just spazzed out and literally just marked out like crazy. I'm talking about the champion versus champion match with John Cena versus Kevin Owens. Seriously. I've never expected that to ever happen. This was a great match. I knew this match was going to be great. I really, really did. I never expected it to be bad, but it was a really great match. Absolutely spectacular, tremendous, wonderful awesomeness. That's what it was. But by far, I'm going to say this. I never expected the ending. Ever. I never expected Kevin Owens to beat Cena. I never expected it. I knew he wasn't going to get a title, but I never expected Kevin Owens to win. The fact that John Cena literally laid down for Kevin Owens shows that he really respects him and shows that this guy actually does have a future. Seriously. Because John Cena's name is big enough to where he can choose who he wants to put over or not. The same thing with The Rock. You got to be good to wrestle The Rock. You got to be good to wrestle Triple H. And you got to be good to wrestle Cena. And honestly, the fact that Cena literally laid down for Kevin Owens, and the match was absolutely spectacular. Sure, people were like, oh no, there's too many kickouts. Who freaking cares? These guys literally told a great story in the ring. It was a battle. It was like warriors, 2 warriors going at it. They told a good story. Who cares how many kickouts they had? Seriously, who freaking cares? It was a great match. It was an absolutely great match. And the fact that John Cena lost clean, by far, that was awesome. That was awesome, man. And I'm going to say it was awesome. It was great. It was spectacular, and I loved every bit of it. And honestly, it had to have everybody's blood pressure going. Twitter literally broke. The internet broke. People were just like, oh my gosh. I was when I saw it. And it was just great. But let's move on to the palate cleanser. Because this really was a palate cleanser. This was a match to bring everybody's blood pressure down and to actually bring everybody to normal before they had a stroke. I'm talking about Neville versus Bo Dallas. Yes, this was a palate cleanser, y'all. Not a palate cleanser for something that's bad to where you have to get the bad taste out of your mouth. But for those who are Cena fans, yeah, this is kind of your palate cleanser. But I think that Steve actually said that. Steve from Steven Larson actually said that on Twitter, which was kind of funny. Which actually is true. But I will say that match, of course, was doing its job. It was just there just for those that had high blood pressure from what they just saw to bring it down. That's pretty much what it was. And it was what it was. It wasn't a great match. It was very slow, but it served its purpose. It served its purpose to calm people down, and that's what it did. So I really got no beef about that. Not at all. But moving on from there, let's talk about the main event of the night. Now, I probably did forget a few matches, and if I did, by all means, tell me how you felt about them and tell me what they were in the comments. But I'm going to move on to the main event. Now, the main event was something that really pissed people off. It really, really did. Now, a lot of people were happy. It wasn't that great of a match, but it started picking up towards the very end. But the one thing that was never expected was Dean Ambrose to win and beat completely clean Seth Rollins. I was happy. I was shocked that they actually allowed Dean Ambrose to win and take the title. But then they did the biggest cop out I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is something that's never happened with a ref that's knocked out. If a ref is unconscious, usually what happens is the ref is unconscious, he will take him out of the ring, and then somebody else will come in its place. And then 1, 2, 3, done. But the biggest cop out that really was the fact that the referee said, pretty much just made it a no DQ. Even though they gave the win to Ambrose, it was a DQ, which means he never won the title. And of course, in Ambrose fashion, he was still the belt with Roman Reigns. And honestly, maybe it was a bit of a tease about Roman Reigns possibly going heel. It was a huge tease, just like they would do with Cena. I honestly thought that Roman Reigns was going to go heel. It would make sense if he did, but he didn't. So, I mean, but that kind of pales in comparison to what they did to Dean Ambrose. I mean, I really thought that Dean Ambrose was going to be champ, and they were going to allow that. One guy on Twitter was like, please end now. I was looking for that too, man. Seriously. And unfortunately, it didn't. Dean Ambrose ended up not taking the title, and it pissed a lot of people off, and they should have gave Dean Ambrose the belt and should have ended it there. And then actually tried to go on and do something else with the storyline, because Seth Rollins really is not that great of a champion with the belt. I mean, he's not that great of a heel champion. He isn't. The way he did it was very calculated and really gave a lot of people respect for him. But as things went on, he became a lackey and people lost respect for him. As soon as you gain respect for him of how calculated it was that he took the belt, you lost respect for him when he became a corporate lackey. And that always happens. I don't know why they really didn't put their 2 cents together, because it's happened many times before. Look what happened with Stone Cold when they turned him heel and made him a corporate champion. Did that work? No. The same thing with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins did a very calculated move at WrestleMania 31. It worked. It made a lot of people respect him. A lot of people like him as a heel. But the worst thing they could ever do is make him a corporate lackey, and that's what happened. And the same thing now. People love Dean Ambrose. People think of Dean Ambrose as the next Stone Cold. It would have worked if they kept the belt on him. But for some reason, whoever's infinite wisdom it was to take the belt from Dean Ambrose was stupid. But I honestly am curious about what's going to happen on Raw tonight. Seriously, I really am. And as you can hear that, it's actually Monday, the day after. So Raw is definitely tonight, and I'm curious to actually see what's going to happen tonight. But guys, my overall thoughts is this. This was a pretty decent pay-per-view. It wasn't horrible. Some of the endings I don't really agree with, but it wasn't that bad. It was kind of impressive, except for the IC match. One of the worst Elimination Chamber matches I have seen in a very long time. Seriously. But honestly, it wasn't that bad of a pay-per-view. I really did enjoy some moments. I have never marked out than I've ever marked out with Kevin Owens. He still sucks on the mic, but he's getting better. But either or, guys, I want to hear your personal thoughts about this pay-per-view. Leave a comment in the comment section below or send me a video response about your thoughts about this pay-per-view. If I missed any matches, by all means, leave it in the comments and tell me how you feel about them. It's Naturegirl 30 signing off. Peace out, guys. Later.